prior to
More things regarding the Shelley case. One was that, as Mark mentioned, the trial court denied the Kramer's claim and ruled in favor of the Shelleys. However, trying to catch my breath from walking. However, they did so on the basis that they believed that the racially restrictive covenant was not final and complete because only 30 of the 39 residents had signed it. So it really was not based on the fact that they believed that constitutional rights were violated. It was because they felt like all of the neighbors hadn't agreed, and that was what was required. When the Kramers appealed to the Missouri Supreme Court, that's when they reversed the decision and basically concluded that they didn't believe that any rights had been violated. So that's when the Shelleys then appealed to the United States Supreme Court. Mind you, at the time that this was going on, there were already 5 black families living in the neighborhood. So it's kind of an interesting situation that you already have people and then you're having people agree not to let people in. When the Shelleys went to the United States Supreme Court, the Supreme Court ended up unanimously ruling in favor of the Shelleys 6-0, and it was 6-0 because 3 of the justices had to recuse themselves because they also had racial covenants in their property.
Wow.
who funded to go to the Supreme Court is very expensive. Who underwrote that? Because that is not something the layperson.
I don't know who underwrote it, but I can say that the Shelleys were represented by George Vaughn, who was the first president of the Mound City Bar Association, which is the oldest black association in, I think, in the country or in the region.
So maybe pro bono.
So I don't know who funded it.
Well, and when they went to the Supreme Court, Thurgood Marshall joined the case on behalf of the Shelleys as well.
Yeah, but again, I don't know who funded it. So.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
That's some heavy hitter right there.
And it may, like you said, it may have been pro bono. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Interesting.
The significant thing about the Shelley decision, of course, because this is a landmark civil rights case, is that it kind of opened the door for integration, basically. And without this case, I'm sure that civil rights in the area of housing would not have gone as fast or as far. So,
It is in the family or it's not?
excuse me?
The home is still in the family?
It is not.
It is not.
J.D. Shelley
Okay.
sold the home to Linton and Jonia Morris.
Okay.
They actually still own the home, but they're very elderly. But they actually still own the home.
Okay.
This home is also, within the last few years, added to the African American Civil Rights Trail.
And in fact, that was announced by Congressman Lacey Clay at the plaque dedication that we did here in 2018 or 19.
Where can we find more information on that case?
What did she say?
More information on the
If I say the internet, is that an unhelpful answer?
Yeah, so it's sort of like
Now you sound like a boomer.
Siri,
It's
I
on the
think
internet.
She might be able to answer that pretty quickly.
Nothing else seems specific though in regards to that?
so you.
It's a national register.
Yeah. It's called the African American Civil Rights Network. So you can find it online really easily. And actually, there are so many different opinions and commentary on this particular case that if you go online, you can find all types of information. And some of it, like I said, is interesting. Some of it is random. But there's a lot of information out there. Like another thing that I thought was interesting as we talked about the fact that a lot of people knew about these restrictive covenants. Well, the real estate agent who sold the house actually had owned the house, and he actually titled the home in the name of someone named Josephine Fitzgerald. I don't know who that is, and then sold it to the Shelleys. So there are some opinions also that the covenants being lifted are directly responsible for how blacks migrated into different areas after this came up. And there are some opinions that say that it gave way to blockbusting and steering and some of the other things.
one thing to add, you guys saw the racially restrictive covenant language?
Yeah.
That's still in deeds.
Yeah.
Missouri Realtors led the charge last year or the year before to change state law. So instead of having to hire an attorney and pay a couple of grand to get that removed, it's now a one-page form. So if you find it in your deed, one-page form, the recorder of deeds strips that out, and now anytime a deed changes hands, if there's a restrictive covenant in there, they pull it out automatically.
But those aren't enforceable.
Not enforceable, but
No.
But it's in there. Like,
you'll find that in there.
I still don't want to see it.
can you imagine going to the table, not the closing table, but after the closing table, seeing in your deed this language that says that you can't even live in this home? That, so it's you know, it's uncomfortable, it's jarring, and a whole bunch of other things to even have to see the language. And one of the things, one of the handout that I gave you, it had the actual language in here. And if you look at the very bottom, not only were they trying to restrict people of color, meaning, or in this case, black people, but also of the Mongolian race, which is Asians. I thought that was interesting to note. I don't know how they settled on those two groups. But if you read this language, just visualize as you're reading this language and block out that last line and put in however you identify and think about how that would make you feel if you saw that in your deed.
There were also covenants restricting members of Jewish faith
Did you?
as well. So it was wide ranging and it was really ugly. And you know, it's our responsibility as realtors and supporters of fair housing to get these global covenants out. And we're getting the signal that it's now time to get on the bus. I failed to mention.
I'm happy to hand the microphone off to them on the bus. If you guys want to continue to ask questions, we can absolutely continue to do questions.
Alicia is our director of diversity, equity, inclusion.